Shifting from building a global brand to building a global community, our next guest is the Managing Director of Grammy U at the Recording Academy, where she leads one of the most impactful communities for aspiring music creators and professionals. Starting her journey as a Grammy U representative herself, she has come full circle, now overseeing national programming, mentorship initiatives, and professional development opportunities that reach more than 8,500 members across more than 50 countries. Under her leadership, Grammy U has expanded its reach and evolved to reflect the many different paths in today's music industry, making it a true launch pad for the next generation. Please welcome Jessie Allen.
Hello. Hi. Are you guys having a fun time at the conference?
This is so exciting.
Okay,
I'm so excited. Grammy U's never had a panel about Grammy U. How does that feel?
It's time, right, everybody? For our 20th anniversary. They all decided this. I need everyone to know. They said it's the 20th anniversary. You're going to come out and talk about Grammy U because you've been in it for 20 years. So here we are.
Well, thank you for being here with us today. This is personally my 4th year in Grammy U, and seeing firsthand how much the Grammy U program has evolved and shifted just in the past few years. Can you talk about your journey to this point and what that looked like and how the growth influenced the way you lead national programs like this one here today?
Absolutely. So when I came into this role that I'm in right now, I've been in the Academy a long time, obviously. I started as one of them, as a rep. But when I was overseeing Grammy U, the first thing I thought was, all right, well, as a rep, what was my experience like? What do I wish I had? And everybody was so independent in their chapters, so all the reps worked locally and they did amazing programming and all sorts of great things. We were still doing sound checks, but they didn't talk to each other. I didn't even know who my fellow reps were, really. We had like a call every once in a while, and there was no Zoom then, so it was like a literal phone call with everyone. And I thought, what can we do to change the way things are working? And we immediately switched it to basically the reps all working together. And the funny thing was that the conference was actually the catalyst to that happening. So in the Florida chapter, when I was working in there before here, we did the first ever local Grammy U conference. And I produced that and put that on. And that was happening going into COVID. I was not overseeing this role yet. And we had the whole conference planned. And the current director of Grammy U called me and said, hey, we're going to have to shut everything down. It's the end of the year. Everybody's getting ready to graduate and do all their big final projects and all these things. And it's going to be a real bummer if they can't do anything. And I said, well, me and my rep are doing our conference. Everything's ready to go. Do we want to just make it virtual and have all the reps work together on it and we can kind of do this together? And we're like, let's do it. We did it. JoJo was actually on that conference. So that's kind of cool. And we did this amazing virtual conference. Everyone kind of recorded their own things. And right after that, the director was moving on to another role. We're still very close. Virginia Fatty, shout out to you for being my first ever supervisor in Grammy U. And she said, Jessie, come into this role. And we had already sort of laid the groundwork with that thought process. So the first thing I did was continue that on. And I said, reps, we're going to lean into the Zoom. We're going to have you all work together. We're going to kind of split your hours between local and national. And that was the kind of catalyst to what is Grammy U now, where when I see you all and you're going on each other's birthday parties and you're working in jobs together, and every time it's someone's birthday, they all Instagram post for each other. And with all the reps I've had, you can imagine that's every day at this point. I'm just oh, I can't believe it, because I didn't even know my fellow reps. And now that you're creating these lifelong bonds, and I think it only makes your experience stronger because you all are such a tight unit that you're thinking together, working together. How can we help our peers? How can we make this amazing stuff happen? And that just sort of radiates into everything we do. So that's kind of how we got where we are today.
Yeah.
I have you to thank for all of my best friends.
I was going to say, I seriously can't thank you enough for fostering our own relationships with each other. Today is so special for me because I'm literally moderating a panel with one of my best friends in Grammy U, and it's just so emotional for me too, because we're graduating, and I don't know, next year, obviously, we'll be back working for Grammy U, and it's just like, it's going to be a forever community here. So, speaking about the conference, how do you approach building national programming that creates a valuable member experience while still reaching people across different backgrounds and locations?
Yeah, the location thing is the tough thing, right? Because if you're not in an immediate chapter city, first of all, you're like, how am I going to go to events? What am I going to do? A lot of you are still taking classes or have other obligations. And I was trying to figure out how can I sort of remove those barriers of your experience so that everybody was having this amazing high-level moment where it's like, even if I only have a few events locally or something I can get to, I can count on a few key moments that I know I'm going to have an amazing time and build a community. And so took the conference from virtual, and 4 years ago did our first ever in-person conference, which was in Miami, in my hometown, with Nike. And that was our first like big in-person sponsor event too, so it was like a big moment here. Another one of our amazing sponsors that have really helped us get things to where they are now is MasterCard. They were working with us doing those master classes during COVID, and then we brought them to life with our first ever in-person one with Jacob Collier. Again, you see the pattern here for the 20th anniversary. It's like the greatest hits, okay? So those type of things that were happening, we were going from like smaller events from COVID, which was no events, virtual only, and then like, let's create these token moments. So that conference, the Nike one, was like sort of our test. We're like, what does an in-person, real national conference look like for Grammy U? Cool thing is I was in my hometown, so, you know, I had like my family building the stage, and I had, you know, I'm like, okay, if we cook enough brownies, we can put it in the green room, you know. This is all true. And calling my friends to be the panelists. If you look at pictures of that, there's like these Nike shoes they gave us, and they're like, well, we don't know how to integrate Nike, and I'm like, but I do. And so I went to Michael's. So many times I went to Michael's that when I kept going back in, they're like, she's back. And I'm like, do you have more of that purple flower I was waiting on? I had like a special order, okay? And I'm going back with my mom constantly to Michael's to get these flowers for 2 weeks until we built out tons and tons and tons of centerpieces of little sneakers with flowers in them and put them all over the stage. So like that's the kind of thinking we were doing, is like, we don't got a lot of money, but we got a lot of resources and we're creative. And that is still how we're doing everything, but it's definitely grown. And that sort of thought process, at the time I had my first real staff. Let me rewind for a second and let you all know, when I came into this role, I was the sole full-time staff member. Thank you. Me and the 12 reps at the time, there were only 12, one per chapter, and that class was such a special class because they were my only staff. And I said, well, I don't care if you're in college, you are my peer now, basically. And they really made this happen with me. And so started with there, and then I got Kat, who is so incredible, and she was there with me at that Nike conference. Where's Kat? She's over there.
She here? Kat, shout out.
She's such a big part of the story. And so with her, with me, we were both on our Cricuts. We're both, you know, painting. We're both thinking outside the box. She's also a Miami native. And I think it was just like the perfect, like, moment where all these little elements just kind of came together, that it was in our hometown with someone that I knew, with all these, you know, friends and family and resources, that we were able to take so little and make so much and make a huge success that is now what you're at today. So thank you. Thank you so much. So thinking about like other events though, then we started sort of scaling. So all of you know, you have your local programs, and then there's about 4 or 5 tentpole events that happen in the year. There is the Fall Summit, which we do in Nashville. There is Grammy Week, which our first ever Grammy U official event I got to produce and make. So Grammy U was not a part of Grammy Week before. Now it is. And when you all go, thank you. That is a big moment for us now that keeps growing and growing every year. Same with this conference and adding more events. And the new events that we've also added were Unwrapped, which is, we've had quite a few of them. We did one with Tate McRae. We just did one today, obviously, with Alicia. Let's give a shout out to Alicia for that incredible How cool was that? You know, she wrote me and she's like, can I bring my bass? And I'm like, absolutely, you can bring your bass. And that's how these cool moments happen. And you go from having playback to now this incredible musician and producer playing for you. And they're just so invested and so excited that it's such a joy to like let these creative moments happen. So we brought in Unwrapped. And then the latest new event that we've added to our roster is Grammy U Soundstage. Was anybody there? Anyone went Grammy Week? Okay, a few of you. Got to come next year. So Soundstage, 1,700 people. What? That was nuts. Ari Lennox headlined, Duran Bernard played. We had Grammy U members on various stages. And what happened with that is we had this moment available to us. And they said, you have a night at Grammy House, what do you want to do? And I literally wrote back, Grammy U Coachella. That was it. And that's how we ended up with Soundstage. So we had this massive music festival, and my whole dream of it was like, how do Grammy U members get to perform? And these leading talent and their emerging talent, so that you're having a music-focused program. Because these are really important panels, topics, things like that. But sometimes we just want to have community and celebrate music and listen to music together. So I'm really, thank you. I'm really happy with like our roster of Tentpole programs and where that's going, and continuing to grow those every single year, while also continuing to work on these local events that are great for your local community and making contacts and having these more intimate experiences as well. So we're still growing, but we've done so much, and I'm so proud of everybody, and every rep class should really pat themselves on the back, because we could not have done this without the amazing students that are working with us. We are still a very small team, so to everything that you're seeing happening is from your peers wanting to make sure this is amazing for you.
Thank you.
Round of applause for that answer.
Thank you. Jessie's truly our DIY queen. So everything here, all her brain.
And Della's now part of the DIY crew too, wherever Della's at.
Shout out Della.
Grammy U has grown into such a powerful global community. When you think about that growth, what's the most important factor in building something that truly resonates with the next generation of creatives and professionals and is accessible to diverse communities?
Yeah, so I was very fortunate that I got to go to the University of Miami, cocaine's, and that was amazing that I had that. I also had a lot of student debt from that, and I also know that that is also not the path that everybody has. You know, not everyone's going to college, and so something that a lot of our elected leaders and a lot of our community were talking a lot about when I came into this role was like making it more accessible. What about the person that immediately goes and becomes an artist after high school? What about the person who wants to become an entrepreneur and starting their new business? What if you're taking school part-time, or you are doing a certificate program? You know, you are still working to better yourself and a student of life, but maybe not full-time in a college. And so one of the first things I was really proud to do from a membership perspective to change Grammy U was to open it to non-students. And who's my non-students in here? Hey, I love to see it. So I think that's really the ticket here, is that we have opened the doors, and the whole idea of it is like, it is inclusive to anyone who belongs in this peer community, who needs what we have to offer. You know, it is hard to make relationships. There's not like a Hinge for music industry relationships, you know? And so this is how we're trying to make that happen for you, so that you can make those contacts and be in a shared space where, you know, if you're here, everyone is here for the same reason. You want to be the next group that, you know, me and my peers, it's so cool. They're working backstage. I'm calling them, hey, can I have your talent for my conference? That's what's going to be for you in 10 years. You're going to be calling each other and saying, can I get your artist for this thing I'm working on? Or like, hey, I'm going to see you backstage at this event. We're going to be working on XYZ. And this is how it's built, by creating these relationships. And my dream is I'm setting you all up so that when I need something now, I can be like, hey, Grammy U members, don't forget me. So don't forget me, guys, okay? So that's how we're doing this here. So we're opening the doors, letting everyone in, trying to foster this community and just provide a safe space for you. I hope you always feel that. We work really, really hard to make sure that everyone is comfortable, that you feel you can express yourselves, that you feel like the things we're talking about are speaking to you and what you're going through, that the artists we're bringing in are ones that you feel proud to be in a room with and look up to. And we think through all of those little things. And we also think through your experiences. We think for like, hey, when you're getting your coffee, how cool would it be if you had a little Grammy on it, you know? Did everyone enjoy the coffee? Snaps for the coffee, yes. So that's what it is like, it's not only letting more people in, it's like once they're in, now what? And we're constantly thinking about that as a team. And I go to the reps pretty much for everything. If I'm on the fence about something, I'm like, what are your thoughts on blah? And like everyone gives
And I love that you do that because like, I feel like I have some sort of like responsibility.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Like, I love that we get to put our own input into creating something like this.
Yeah.
It's just super cool.
Right. It's a lot of input, right?
Yeah. A lot of questions, but it's so important that we get these experiences too, because this is it's an internship, but it's our stepping stone to our
We're never going to
careers.
call this an internship.
I know.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
It is a
part-time job.
Yes.
But this is a really big stepping stone for us in getting these real life experiences. So
Yes,
thank you.
absolutely. And the last thing I'll mention on global community, on the global side of it, is, well, first of all, so many are starting to fly into these tentpole events. So going back to why am I creating these massive programs is because I want to make it worth it for you to fly in from somewhere, to have a few days somewhere. I know, you need to have money for that. You need to take time off work. How can I make it something that is substantial, that's going to get you here from Romania, where we have people coming in from all over the place? But the mentorship program, I think, is the much more accessible version of that, which is we had 2,000 participants in this year's mentorship program. Who's in the mentorship program? Hands up. Thank you. Love to see that. And you can be part of it from anywhere. And so if you are in another country, doesn't matter. I can pair you with somebody. If you're based in India, maybe I have a mentor in India, and if not, I'm going to pair you with someone over here. And then if you ever want to come to the States and work, now you have a contact. Same with cross-chapter promotion. So like, if you're like, hey, I hope I get to work in LA one day, but right now I'm going to school in Atlanta, pair you with a mentor in LA, and now once you graduate, you have a contact in LA. So like, that's the whole idea of the mentorship program, is like getting rid of those boundaries of where you are based and starting to create those relationships.
Yeah. Ambassadors are also such a huge part of like the global community as well.
Yes,
so.
Thank you to our ambassadors. We appreciate you. I remember still in my little Miami office, we had an office on South Beach, excuse me. You could like literally go in the middle of your workday and like go tan for your lunch break and come
so
back.
Jealous.
Like on the water. Those days are gone. But I remember still like when I was a rep and we had this little boardroom, and I said, I'm going to host an ambassador orientation. And I like made these little goodie bags with anything I could find in the office and like candy from the CVS downstairs, and brought them all in. And that was the first ever ambassador orientation for all of Grammy U, hosted by me as a Florida chapter rep. And I think that that's also grown so much to now we have over almost 150 ambassadors, including global ambassadors. And ambassadors are really the key to reaching local communities, because the reps can't be everywhere. They're trying, I promise, but they can't be everywhere. And so the ambassadors are the way, do I have an opportunity somewhere in the middle of a city where I don't have a rep? Maybe there's something happening in a major city, but the rep isn't available. Maybe we want to get into different communities, different schools. These ambassadors, who are essentially our street team, are really helping us create all these micro communities and, again, kind of fill the void here between any touch points we have physically. So love the ambassador program, and applications for that will be opening again in August. So keep an eye out if you want to be an ambassador. And then mentorship program applications open again next October. So all the things I'm talking about, they're coming back. If you're not part of it, there's another chance. Don't you worry.
There's so much to look forward to, you guys.
Always.
So we're talking a lot about like membership and ambassadors and like mentorship program. Like there's so many things going on. I'd love to talk about what success looks like for Grammy U members by the time they leave the program. And can you speak about like a personal experience that you've witnessed where a Grammy U member has been extremely successful?
There's so many definitions of success, first of all. So like everybody has their own thing that they are looking for. And it's going to look different for everybody. Not everybody wants to be a global superstar Grammy winner. That is not their end goal. So what I'll say is, you know, it's so incredible to meet all of you and see where you see yourselves in a few years and what you're trying to get out of this program. And I've seen so many people get what they were looking for, whether that be to work in maybe comms and then they got a job in there and then they worked their way up the system. Maybe it might be to be an artist. This year we had a Grammy nominee who was a Grammy U member who worked on the Sinners soundtrack. So congratulations, Kairos. You know, we have amazing alumni like Scott Hoying in Pentatonics is a Grammy U alumni. Thank you, Scott, for always supporting us. And so there's all these various levels. But, you know, it's just like as you finish this program, I think the key thing here is like we hope we can help you find out, maybe if you don't know what your definition of success is, maybe we can also help you just figure that out. And to me, that's my success. Like, did you enter this conference yesterday and maybe you didn't know if you wanted to work in the festival market, and after hearing this panel today, when Matt was talking, you're like, wait, maybe I want to do that. Maybe I want to work in talent booking. And hopefully by opening all these doors to you, we're able to help kind of lead you to these new areas. Maybe one year you did a mentorship program and you clicked interest in one thing, and then maybe next year you're like, hey, I actually figured out I don't like that thing, and now I want to do this thing. You know, when I started, like, I was like, okay, I'm going to work in a record label, and that's what I'm going to do. Let me tell you, my first day interning at a record label, the elevator broke, and I was sitting in there with my Starbucks for like 3 hours. I'm like, is this what I want to do? and it ended up not because of the elevator, but I think it was like an omen. And I did the internship, and I was just like, this is not for me, you know? And I think that's okay and good, because everyone needs to have spaces that work for them. But that's kind of what I want to say. You know, I don't think there's like these specific moments like this person hit the jackpot because of Grammy U. I think it's more that we're able to consult you and help you and point you in the right direction and help you just take the next step out of here feeling better about where you want to go, feeling like you have more context, that you're more confident. And that's what I love seeing so much. And I can't tell you how many times I'm like on a call with maybe like an artist team or a venue or whoever it might be, and they're like, I'm an alumni of the program. And it's like the coolest thing ever to see how everybody's gone into the industry. You know, we have about 35,000 Grammy U alumni. That's intense. Yeah. And then active members, about 8,700 as of right now. What? So there's a lot of us out there, everybody. We're taking over. Watch out. The purple people are coming.
I'm dead. So throughout your own career journey, what were some of like the challenges you faced maybe in Grammy U or outside of Grammy U, and how are you able to kind of build beyond those limitations you faced?
Challenges. I think the challenges is always resources, and because my dreams are so big, how am I going to do that? And me and Kat talk a lot about this because she's a big dreamer too, and we have all these things we want to do. How can we reach the skyscrapers and do this thing? I want a billboard in Times Square with Grammy U conference. And they know because they see all my big ideas. And I will tell you, so many of them have happened, which is so cool. Like to do a music festival in the middle of Grammy week, like I was just completely in awe the whole time. Standing here last night while the supergroup performed Unwritten, I was like in tears, just could not believe that was happening to something that I thought up, you know? And that's how it all starts, is like you have one idea, and then how can you make that idea happen? And that's the part that I think is the adrenaline rush for me, but it's the biggest challenge at the same time, and that's why I love it, is like, I got this idea cooking. how am I going to do it? Do I have enough money? No. Do I have enough staff? No. Whatever it is, how can I make it happen? Do we have enough time? No. But I can still get it done. And that's why my team's so special, because everyone is just ready to put on their creativity hats at all times and just say, like, we're going to think so outside the box that there is no box. And that's how Grammy U has grown. I also have to give kudos to my supervisor, Ruby Marchand, who you saw up here. Yes, thank you, Ruby. Because she's so supportive of that kind of thought process, and she's like that herself. And to be able to have a mentor in my corner that's like, you can do your big idea if you can make it happen, basically, and I'm here to support you along the way, rather than putting barriers in front of me or putting doubt in my mind. That really fuels you. So I hesitate to even call it a challenge, because it's like, that's the part that gets you going as an event producer and someone that oversees it. Like, during event weekend, they always hear I'm a professional troubleshooter. Like, that is my job. And we teach a lot about how you center yourself, how you behave, the kind of workplace environment we want to create. It's very, very important to me that everyone you see here that works in Grammy U, down to the volunteers, is happy. We're having a good experience. Nobody's yelling. No one's upset. Everyone, if something bad happens, we're going to say, all right, we expected to have to fix something. We're professional troubleshooters.
We pivot.
We
always.
pivot. Yeah, like the Ross Geller, pivot. We always say that a lot. So anything like that it comes with the job, And so even if it is a challenge, that's why we're here. We're going to make things happen, and nothing is easy when you're dreaming big and building new things from scratch, which is, Grammy U is basically a startup right now. The way that we're doing Grammy U in the past few years, the way that we have these major partners that we're working with, that's all new. And so, we're like the first days of a major startup company trying new things. We're like entrepreneurs. We're getting really like crafty and really making it, we're like scrappy out here making it happen.
Absolutely. Challenges are always like a really big motivation factor as well, like throughout your career and building your career from where we are now. Yeah.
And also, like, we might be small, but we are so mighty. I had so many people come up to me at Soundstage and be like, I cannot believe, like, a team of less than 20 people put this on. And I was like, honestly, like, I am just as shocked and also impressed. Like, it's so impressive.
And 15 of them are in college learning how to do it while they're doing it. Let's be real.
But also, we couldn't do it without all of you. So give yourselves a round of applause.
Thank you for always being there for us.
Talking about how Grammy U is, like, in the startup phase right now, where do you see Grammy U in about 5 years?
There's a few things. First of all, speaking of this conference itself, like, in my wildest dreams, we have like a South by situation going on, maybe not that big, but we've already expanded to 3 days this year, which is so exciting. That was another one that I'm like, Kat, I want to make it 3 days. And she's like, oh my gosh, but here we are, we did it. So it's like, how do you keep building it on? You're adding more, maybe next year it's not more days, but it's more time slots. Maybe it's building extra rooms out, and I think that's the thing, looking to 5 years, that it's like a music biz. It's like a destination conference. Maybe it's the type of thing where it's not only members, but you can buy a ticket if you're not a member and come. And those are the questions that get me really excited, because I know that you all are ready to support and ready to jump in. I know that the artists are so incredible. When I tell you the talent, like, there is nothing like the talent that works with Grammy U. Having Jacob Collier sitting here and playing while he's singing, that was his idea. I didn't make him do that. He's like, hey, you got a keyboard because we're going to jam. And I'm like, yeah, let me call my legal department and get right back to you. And they approved it. So here we go, and that's a challenge that we overcame, professional troubleshooter. So because of that, because of our willingness to be flexible, to be adaptable, to jump on any opportunity and make it happen, we're able to have these moments. And so having talent like that that are so invested in our growth, like I said, Jacob did our masterclass years ago. When I asked him to moderate this with Willow, he's like, yes, 100%. And those relationships really are what are like under our wings to help Grammy U get bigger and bigger and more visibility and support more members, have more sound checks, all those things. So I will say, from the programming side, yeah, we want them to be bigger. Next year, we're going to need a bigger space. You all came out. Thank you. So that allows us to grow. And that's why what you said, it's like, thank you. It is, because it is a relationship with our members. If you all didn't come to the conference, we couldn't grow it next year. If there wasn't a line down the block last night, I couldn't justify moving to a bigger venue and having more days and all those things. So we're sort of working together to grow this. And the more that you give back to me, the more I can give back to you. And that's kind of the symbiotic nature of it. In terms of membership and community, I would love to grow our global membership more. I'm so excited about that. Just seeing what we're able to provide with the mentorship program is incredible. That grew so much this year. Shout out to my team who worked also to make more virtual components of the mentorship program. So on top of your relationship with your mentor, you have all these different virtual panels and all those sorts of things. How can I add more to that? Maybe I can start adding local panels. Maybe we can make smaller communities that get to talk to each other. I don't know, but like those are the thoughts that are keeping me up, is like, how can I find you if I have a mentor and a mentee pair in China? Like, how am I giving you the best experience ever? And I hope in 5 years that I can, that we have more members in other countries and people are making these relationships and we have more footprint. And just the biggest part of success for us is to see where you all are in 5 years. So am I working with you all in 5 years? Are you the ones backstage with your talent that you brought because you're their manager, And that's Grammy U in 5 years. So the more successful our membership becomes, the more successful we are. I really want to encourage you all to become, to work towards voting and professional membership after this. That is really what is going to help us to continue to grow this program and to make sure that our entire community, all the way through voting and professional, it is just all tied together. So that's the kind of thing I'll leave you with as we look towards the future, is as you finish Grammy U, let's do Grammy voting and professional. I'm ready to pass you over to my colleagues to take care of you now, but don't leave us. And we want you here. We want you in the community. I want to see you at the Grammys because you're there as a voting member. So in 5 years, that's where I'll see you, right? Everyone there as voting and professional members?
Jessie, I seriously cannot thank you enough for joining us here today. You have been such an incredible and important person and mentor in my life, and I'm sure you're a mentor to everyone else as well. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Let's give it up for Jessie, everyone. Come on.